Hi everyone and welcome. Today we have a new pocket radio to review. This is the model MG010. It's a 3-band radio bought from AliExpress, and at the time of recording this costs £8.41 UK, but that does include carriage and tax, and that works out around about $10 US. Now this is available in either silver or black. I chose the silver finish, but before we open it up, I'll just point out it states portable radio, simple and generous. That just made me smile. So let's open it up and see what we actually get for our money. So we get a little USB-C lead, always useful. And then we get the radio itself. So initial impressions. Well, it's nice and compact and it actually sits quite nicely in the hand, allowing you to do one thumb tuning. So that's a good point. Build quality is about what you'd expect for a radio of this price point, with a spray pointed finish and then just a plain plastic black rear. Size wise, as you can see, it's actually quite compact. Dimensions, it's 123mm high, 71mm wide by around about 42mm deep. And just give the old mugshot test just for a size comparison. There we go. It's actually quite pocket friendly and it weighs a modest 174 grams. So what I'm going to do now is take a closer look at the features of this little compact set. So looking at the front of the radio first of all, and it's nice to see we've got some curves for a change rather than the normal rectangles. So aesthetically it actually looks quite nice. However, those curves are a little bit limited. In terms of, we've got a nice curved tuning dial there, but unfortunately if you're trying to tune in a particular sort of station, maybe on shortwave, and you're trying to find it, at best that tuning pointer is just going to approximate where it is. After that you're on your own and you just need to feel your way until you found that station. So it looks good, but it's not quite so practical. So as I mentioned, it's a 3-waveband set. So we've got shortwave coverage, and that's between 5.9 all the way up to 18 megahertz. So not quite covering the full shortwave spectrum. AM coverage is between 522 and 1620 kilohertz. And then finally we have FM. Now FM has got extended coverage, and that's between 76 all the way up to 108 megahertz. Below there, we've got a little LED. That's a power on LED, which is useful because if you've got your volume turned right down, it still lets you know that the set is switched on. Below that, we've got a 50mm speaker. Left hand side's got no controls, but on the right hand side, first of all, we've got our tuning thumb wheel. Now that's quite large, and I'm hoping that's going to help with selectivity. And I have to say, it's nice and smooth. Below that, we've got our off-on volume control. And then finally, we've got our 3-wideband selector switch. Turning to the top, first of all, we've got our little aerial, and that aerial is only 340mm long. So I'm hoping that's still going to pull in some stations nonetheless. Adjacent to that, we've got our 3.5mm headphone socket, and then we've got our USB-C input there to charge the rechargeable battery, and we've got our charge status LED there. Moving to the rear, we've got a little removable belt clip. That's always useful. And then finally, we've got our battery compartment. Just going to take the cover off. Now this houses a little type 14500 battery, and this happens to be rated at 800 milliamp hours. So now we've reviewed all of the features, let's see how it performs and let's take it for a test drive. So our first test is on AM performance, and then we're going to take a look at FM. So make sure we selected to AM first of all. We're right at the very top there, so we're looking at 1620 kilohertz, and we're going to work our way down. So let's pop it on. Let's see what we can find. Now we might pick up some noise off the camera or the LED lighting. Can't do much about that, but nonetheless, let's see how we get on. And bring it down. Hopefully you can see the dial pointer there. Don't know how directional on this is.
Yeah, and Trafford could come out and catch it because there's no way that was a back pass. Trafford then.
Not too bad.
The record for wins in a row at home in the FA Cup in the competition proper. Brilliant. Who put Clapham?
That wasn't too bad. I actually picked up quite a few stations there. So now I'm going to do is just switch to FM. So I'm going to put our little aerial up first. Select FM and let's see what we can find. Now just to mention, between 76 and 88 megahertz, there's nothing transmitted in the UK on those frequencies. So I'm just going to bypass those and then hopefully she'll start to pick up some stations.
Due to engineering works. 03 700 100 200 is the number. More travel news.
Cameras and things, you have security guards, and you know.
Do you remember your dad would never tell you who he voted for, but it was probably we're just super excited. All these other girls, but I'm empty. Something like the last of my day as if it was still to break. I know who you are. Oh, I think that I found from the light. I hate to turn up.
Picked up lots of stations. As you can probably tell, selectivity, that was a little bit of an issue because I was having to move that tuning dial very, very slowly just to separate out our stations. But nonetheless, it performed pretty well. So what I'm going to do now is go to the next stage of our little review. So let's see how this little set tackles shortwave now. What I'm going to do is start from 5.9 megahertz and work my way all the way up to 18 megahertz. I'm hoping that that slightly larger tuning thumb wheel will help us with the selectivity, but let's have a look. So I'm going to pop the little aerial up, make sure it's selected to shortwave, and let's see what we can find. So I'll work my way up. Something there. Moving this so slowly. Nothing much at the bottom end. Bottom radio China.
42. FCSB-ul pleacă spre poarta Botoșaniului în
I'm not sure what's transmitting out there. It's just gone dusk here in the middle of the UK. A bit quieter here, but we'll carry on. Something there.
Truly, I say to you, unless the grain of wheat falls in... يا دكتور وقع شوية دي؟ وقع شوية يعني. النجاح مبني على إمكانيات.
It's actually picking up quite a few, a bit more than what I expected, to be honest. And towards the top end.
48 a 53 según el Baskonia, que ha llegado a tener 11 puntos de ventaja. Sin embargo, el Madrid la ha endosado al final. A todos sus efectivos disponibles y, como decimos, intenta este asalto al liderato de la fase regular de la Euroliga.
Actually, that wasn't too bad, considering this is a budget receiver with a very small aerial and a selectivity issue. It actually did quite well. Obviously, it depends upon what's transmitting at the time I'm recording, but nonetheless, I think that's pretty decent. So, on with the next part. It's summary time now. So, what are my concluding thoughts on this little MG010 pocket radio? Well, let's look at the negatives first of all. The main one being selectivity. You have to move that tuning thumb wheel very slowly in order to navigate some of the more crowded frequencies. The other one is if you're trying to tune into a particular radio station, maybe one of your favorites, at best, you're just going to approximate this position with that tuning pointer. You're then just going to have to feel your way right to that very station. On the positive side, it's compact, it's easy to handle, you can do one-handed tuning, so that's quite a good point. It's low cost, and overall it's got good sensitivity. So if you're after a low-cost pocket-friendly radio, then this may be a consideration. However, you may want to take a look at an alternative receiver. This is the TWCG 77, and if you're interested, I've done a video review on that. So with all that being said, all that leaves me to say is, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon.